Hi, my name is Mike Smith. I'm the president of Aerocom, and today I wanted to answer a question I've been asked a lot over almost 20 years. What is the best bandwidth for our office? So, unfortunately, there isn't an exact answer to this. There is no rule of thumb when it comes to bandwidth per employee for an average company. But what I can tell you is I've had a ton of experience selling internet. I sell it every day to businesses all around the country. And I have a good idea of how much bandwidth companies are using per the number of employees they have sitting in a single office space. So to do that, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of run through you a quick little thing that I made. I have to cheat because I don't want to memorize all this stuff, but let me kind of run down what I see on a daily basis. So if your company has about 1 to 10 employees, I'd say a typical connection that we'll see for a company that size, for a small company, is for a primary connection, a broadband asymmetrical connection. Asymmetrical meaning you have really fast download speed and slower upload speed. Broadband connection meaning business class cable, Verizon Fios, things like that that are more a best effort internet connection, not anything with a service level agreement. So the provider isn't guaranteeing that you'll get that bandwidth at all time. That's the maximum bandwidth that you'll get. So for that size company, a company with 1 to 10 employees, I'd say a 100 download, 20 meg upload, asymmetrical broadband internet connection is typically what we see in today's economy. Typically connections or companies that size do not have a backup connection. All right, so a little bit bigger company. So if you have maybe 11 to say 20 employees or so, what we typically see that company have is probably a little bit faster, but kind of the same thing. An asymmetrical broadband internet connection, maybe 200 meg download by 20 meg upload is about average. Okay, so that's about normal what we see. Now, a backup connection, maybe only half those companies that size have a backup connection. And if they do, it's typically another broadband connection. Maybe they have AT&T ABF fiber as a primary and maybe Spectrum business class coaxial cable as the backup. So that might be a typical scenario that we'd see. All right, so a company with 21 to 40 employees. Now a little bit bigger, what we start seeing is a dedicated connection there. So typically maybe that size, a 300 meg dedicated fiber internet connection. Dedicated meaning 300 meg, it's symmetrical, 300 meg download, 300 meg upload. Guaranteed 300 meg at all times. It comes with an SLA. That's typically the primary internet connection for a company that size. And then for a backup, typically what we'll see is a broadband internet connection, maybe about 100 meg download by 20 meg upload connection. All right, a little bit bigger, 21 through 75 employees. I would say a very average connection there is about a 500 meg dedicated fiber internet connection and a little faster broadband connection, maybe a 200 meg broadband connection, asymmetrical for their backup. Those companies, you might for the backup start seeing companies use an SD-WAN appliance or a firewall to load balance those two connections instead of just having a backup sitting there static. All right, for a company with about 76 to 200 employees, now we're getting into a little bit bigger connection. I'd say about a gig dedicated fiber internet connection is about average for what we're seeing right now for good internet performance for a company that size with average usage. All these connections, I'm typically talking about a company with average internet usage. Like for instance, they're just using Office 365. They may have a web-based CRM that they're using, maybe doing some VPNing, and then a bunch of Googling and maybe a web conference now and then. Maybe they're looking at a hosted VoIP. So that's what I mean by average. So about 100 employees, 75 to 100 employees, about a gig internet connection. And then for a backup for that company, maybe a little bit beefier of a broadband internet connection, maybe a 300 meg download by 20 meg upload broadband internet connection, maybe business class cable would be a good backup. And again, companies that size, we're typically seeing them use SD-WAN or a firewall appliance to load balance those two connections and not just have a static backup. Now, companies bigger than that, maybe 200 or more employees, what we're seeing there is typically a gig internet connection for their primary, and then for the backup, they might use another dedicated connection as well, like maybe a 200 meg fiber internet connection for their backup, and again, load balanced with an SD-WAN appliance or a firewall. And then sometimes even if you're in an area where there's a lot of hurricanes, we might see a third internet connection, like a 4G connection that's used if the first two go down, and that's just for backup. So that's kind of what I'm seeing out there in the marketplace today. I hope that was helpful. I'm sorry I can't give you an exact formula, but that's an average of what I'm seeing on a daily basis. As always, if you have any questions on that, feel free to email me, let me know, email or call. I'm happy to answer any questions you have. And then if you need quotes on any of this stuff, on any service providers, if you want to know what fiber providers or what business class cable connections are available at your address, just let me know. I'd be happy to pull that up on our software and give you a price comparison of all those different providers. That's something we do every day. And we can absolutely get you the lowest price possible on any internet connection at your business. So again, thanks for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.